Today on the Fast Lane car, we are testing out the all-wheel drive system on the brand new 2019 Honda Pilot. To do this, we use the TFL all-wheel drive slip test. Essentially what this is a series of rollers we can place underneath the vehicle's tires to simulate a loss of traction in any of the four corners. And this is great if you guys live in a snowy or slippery environment, or even take this vehicle into a little bit of off-roading just to see how the all-wheel drive and traction control system works when there is a complete loss of traction at any of the four corners. Honda uses an all-wheel drive system in this new Pilot they call IVTM4, or Intelligent Variable Torque Management. Now essentially what Honda says this does, they're using torque vectoring to send up to 70% of available power to the rear end and 100% of available power left or right when it's needed in low traction situations. This new Pilot also uses several different drive modes to configure throttle mapping and traction control programming depending on the traction situation. Our first test is going to consist of the front wheels positioned in the rollers, meaning we're not going to have any traction to the front axle, and then the rear end is going to be planted on the pavement. So what should happen is the front wheels should have just a little bit of slippage before the system transfers power to the rear and I drive off. Okay, first test, this is going to be front wheels on the rollers. I'm just going to go ahead and do this test in normal mode, traction control on, and then drive mode is just set to normal. So backing onto the rollers. Okay, so now I'm going to select neutral and let the vehicle settle into the rollers, which it has. Hit foot on the brake into drive. Slowly release my foot off of the brake. You can see them spinning, and then just a little bit of power. And we're down. Now we're going to try it in snow mode. So same thing, backing onto the rollers. Okay, into neutral. Snow mode is engaged. Into drive. Letting off the brake. Rollers are spinning. Just a little bit of throttle. And we're down. Okay, next mode, mud. So this is the mud programming for the traction control, all-wheel drive, and throttle. Into drive. Okay, just a little bit of throttle. Ooh, that felt like it did it just a little bit easier in mud mode. Now our final mode for the front wheel test is sand mode. Now according to Honda, sand mode is the most aggressive, kind of off-road mode if you will. So it's going to play hard on the traction control and four-wheel drive system. Into drive. In sand mode, foot off the brake. Oh yeah, really easy in sand mode. So actually, if you had to ask me, I would say that the mode programming actually does do a difference, at least with the front wheel test. That was our front wheel test done. Now we're going to the diagonal test. So what this is a simulated loss of traction in two opposing wheels. So the front left and the rear right wheel are going to be on the rollers, which means only the front right and the rear left wheel have traction. Now because we don't have any solid locking differentials in this vehicle that are actuated with a button, we're going to have to rely heavily on the traction control and all-wheel drive system to pull us off this test. Into reverse. Into drive for the first of the diagonal tests. This is going to be in normal mode. So foot off the brake, a little bit of throttle. Wow, good result there. Same test but in snow mode. No problem in snow mode either. Mud mode, into drive, foot off the brake, a little bit of gas. Very smooth, no worries. One last test, sand mode. And right off. Now this final test on this flat ground is certainly the most difficult. It is a simulated loss of traction in 3 of the 4 wheels. Both front and the rear left wheel are going to be on the rollers. Only the rear right wheel has traction. I'm going to run this in 2 modes. normal mode with traction control on, and sand mode, which limits traction control intervention. It's the most aggressive mode for torque distribution. So those two modes should give us a good feeling of how this vehicle does in its most aggressive and most standard mode. Okay, first test is in normal mode. Into drive, foot off the brake, gently apply some throttle. And we made it down very easily indeed. So the front wheels span, and it took a second before the rear wheels kicked in, but when they kicked in, got us down nice and easily. Good result in normal mode. Okay, now into sand mode. Sand mode, stability reduced, traction control off is what it's saying. Into drive, foot off the brake, front wheel spin first, a little bit of throttle. Wow, that was a hard grip. But we're down. Nice work, pilot. The pilot performed very nicely on the flat, but let's raise the bar a little bit. I've gone ahead and backed this pilot down into a loading dock. We're going to do the same test, first the front wheels, then the diagonal, then the 3-wheel slip test on this hill, see how it does. First up, just the front wheel slip test. Okay, backing down in normal mode. Okay, we're in the slot. Into drive. A little bit of throttle. Okay, no problem there. In normal mode, good result. Let's go ahead and try it in its most aggressive setting, sand mode. Into drive, foot on the throttle. Yep, no problem whatsoever there. So here we go with our diagonal test, front left, rear right at a loss of traction, first in normal mode. Into drive, I'm in normal mode, foot off the brake, onto the gas. And we're down fairly easily. Let's try sand mode. Okay, 2-wheel test this time, I'm going into sand mode. Again, the most aggressive of the off-road modes in terms of the all-wheel drive engagement and transfer of power. It also has a hill hold feature for up to 5 seconds, so when I take my foot off the brake in sand mode, I don't actually roll back, which is a very good thing. So, foot off the brake, car hold it, into drive, on the gas. Yep, even easier than normal mode, I'd say. Most difficult test, the 3-wheel test. So both front wheels are at a loss of traction, as is the left rear. So into drive, only the right rear has traction. Let's see if it can do it. Yeah, I couldn't stop. Okay, so that was a little bit of a pickle. Now I tried to back down onto the 3-roller test with only the right rear on the pavement, and it didn't have enough braking power to stop it from just rolling down off the rollers completely. Let me show you the issue. So I backed down gently onto the roller, but it wasn't enough to stop in this crack. It just kept rolling down, and this tire right here, the one with traction, either it was slipping or it didn't have enough braking force to stop the vehicle from rolling back with the brakes fully applied. So I'm going to try modifying the test, as a lot of you suggested, a little bit, and try 3 wheels but have the right front as the wheel with traction. See if that maybe works a little bit better. And the biggest problem is, as you can see, I'm really close to sliding into this loading ramp, and I really don't want to do that. So we'll try it one more time with the front wheel as the wheel with traction. I'm going to take your suggestion from the last video and try it with the front right and see if that works. See if that has enough power to hold me on the rollers, prevent me from sliding back. Okay, 3-roller test. This time the front right has traction. Into reverse, normal mode. Come on, don't let me go sliding back into those rubber guards. That would be no good. slow. Okay, that time it worked. So, normal mode, into drive, a little bit of throttle. Well, we're off, but not easily. Try it again in sand mode, the most aggressive traction mode. Okay, I'm in position, into drive, foot off the brake, slowly accelerate. And we're off. Now after reviewing this footage here, you can see that the vehicle is probably getting off the rollers because it shifts left and right and grips on the metal side of the rollers to pull itself off. So now I'm gonna try 3 wheels with the right rear as the only wheel with traction. This is gonna be hard because as I start to back down, it's gonna wanna just slide off the rollers and into the loading dock, which would be real bad. I'm gonna use the parking brake because it's the right rear that has traction to help me on here. I'm gonna go straight into sand mode because that is the most aggressive traction mode. It also has hill hold. So into sand mode, off the brake onto the... Now just to show you guys, I'm trying my hardest to be objective. I'm gonna try one last time. This is my 3rd time trying to get that rear right wheel to hold the vehicle so I can accelerate off. Come on, don't slide backward. Okay, I'm on. Parking brake is nailed right now. Into drive, hard on the brake, sad mode, parking brake's off. I am foot to the floor on the foot brake right now, and accelerate. Oh, well that did it. Well, they say 3rd time's a charm, and I got off. I'm not sure if I got off based on the rollers or because the vehicle slipped onto the actual metal part of the rollers, but I did. Looks like take out a couple rollers here. Wow. Well, what have we learned? On the flat surface, the Honda Pilot performed very well, exceeding in all 3 tests. When we put the vehicle on the ramp, it still did well in both the front wheel and diagonal test. However, this video proves we need to modify our hill testing procedure with the 3-wheel test. It's clear the vehicle is slipping around and pulling itself off the rollers because it's getting traction on either the ramps or the side of the testing equipment. In the comments below, please let us know how we can modify the 3-wheeled ramp test. As it stands, this is more of a failure of the testing procedure and equipment, and we really want to make this more relevant and more fair so that the vehicle's not slipping around and cheating its way off the ramps. As always, I'm Tommy with the Fastlane Car. Thanks for watching. See you next time.